right there.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I looking onto the fucking distant? I'm looking at the crest.
That's the.
Where the fuck was that at?
That was Portsmouth. All right, we're live.
1935, the Lions win the NFL championship. The Detroit Tigers take the World Series. The Red Wings bring home Lord Stanley's Cup. Joe Louis begins his rise to world domination. This transforms the Motor City into Detroit, City of Champions.
There's a crack in the bat. We're gonna crack a bottle open.
You got some bottles right here. You're cracking.
I know I did. I was gonna crack one, and but I'm like, I still got a half one to go. I don't want to.
Just let the viewers.
I don't want to go flat. Yeah, it's in the
Oh,
shot.
it's okay. It is. You got it. You know what you're
So-
doing. You're a professional. You got it.
So so we hit some
we go.
Stroh's beer.
I distracted you.
Because we're going bowling, taking the skinheads bowling.
Stroh's bowling team. This could be like. We're not going to talk too much about. I don't think we're going to talk anything about the Stroh's bowling team
for
tonight.
dollars.
We're not talking about the Stroh's bowling team tonight.
Bowling for dollars. It's Palladium Lanes.
That's what it's
Heading
called.
down to Hamtramck.
That's what it's called.
The bowling alley in Hamtramck was Palladium Lanes.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay. It's
yeah.
not
That
just
was a big old one.
It's not just the Stroh's talking.
Nope. It's it's
an actual.
The Polish Muslims have they took the Beach Boys song Surfing USA and turned it into Bowling USA.
Did they really? Okay.
Yeah, and it's all about the Palladium Lanes down in Hamtramck.
That's crazy. I didn't know they had it's called Palladium because I'm all into
It's
gold,
gone.
silver,
It's
platinum.
done.
Oh, okay.
It's a parking lot.
Why
now.
do they call it Palladium and not platinum? Because Palladium's rarer than platinum.
I think it's more like play. It's like a stadium.
Oh,
but
that makes sense. Yeah.
Palladium. It's more of that kind of
That makes sense.
not a metallic thing. But Detroit City of Champions, the podcast is all about 1935 and all the amazing stories that go along with it. I'm Jamie Flanagan,
Charles Avison,
and we want to talk a little bit about beer today.
Yeah, and because so here's this is the logic behind. We're gonna break this up into 2 episodes, and the logic behind this is
we want to drink beer.
Yeah, we want to drink beer. And
I want to drink beer.
Jamie wants to drink beer, and so we were sort of just looking into it. We're talking about the Stroh's bowling team, of course, one of the champions of 1935.
Yeah,
the Stroh's bowling team would be the first bowling team sponsored by a beer company in the United States.
Oh,
and so they would win the. Of course, spoiler alert, they won the 19.
Spoiler alert. If we're talking about them,
and we're talking about
they probably. Although we talked about Liz Ward and he did not.
Yes. So, but we can go on some tangents. We're going to go on a little bit of a tangent today.
And that's the important thing about this story are all the important stories that ran alongside of it.
Yes, which gives us a chance to shine a light on some stuff that nobody's ever talked about or rarely gets mentioned.
I'm still trying to get Iffy the Dopester.
Yeah, we got this.
We got the Iffy Club shirt.
That's basically our new, I think we're getting close to making it like our official because I don't want to say like fan club because we're not talking about fans, like everybody that's listens to this show,
passionate about the 35 story.
But like everybody that's part like this, I've called this from the beginning, the City of Champions project, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is this is like somewhat unparalleled. Like we're trying to bring back, not somewhat. There's the greatest season in American sport history, and we're trying to bring it back to mainstream, widespread. When I started this project out, nobody ever heard of the fact that the Tigers, Lions, Red Wings first championship same season. That Detroit had won. Detroit's 3 major sports teams had all won their first championships in the same season, which is the easiest trivia question, in all of sports to answer. Yeah. What year did they all 3 win? It was the same year, 1935.
I can't tell you how many people don't know.
Nobody knows. Or very,
and I'm standing there with my Spirit of Champions, City of Champions. Hockey jersey on, it says number 35 all over it.
And then you ask,
and I'm like,
I don't know. You're like,
I'm pointing.
Yeah, you're like, what year did each team win their first championship?
And then you tell them the first one, and then all right, and then you'd say the second one, and then they're like, I don't know.
I still don't know.
And I'm like, seriously? All right. And then you go to the third one.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's like you are a box of rocks, man. How did you not get that on the third one?
So this is what I'm trying to say is that the goal of this project is to make it so that is reversed.
Yes.
So that when you ask, so that at some point in the future, when somebody asks somebody what year did the Tigers win their first World Series, the Lions win their first NFL championship, right? The Red Wings win their first Stanley Cup. When that question is asked, every person's just like, are you an idiot? Of course it's 1935.
Yeah,
Like everybody knows that. Like to make it so it's like almost a redundant, like a question that is like, is just that's the goal of bringing it back so that it's just a widely understood. We're trying to reinsert this chapter into Detroit's history for it to regain its position of not only its position of prominence, but is part of the historical record to be rebuilt into the system, into our understanding of who we are and how we got here. So that's our goal. And that being said, that's why I hate to say, like, when we talk about the Iffy, the Dopester, with I hate to say this is like our, like this is our official fan club that you get this pin.
Yeah.
Because I don't like to think about it like that. Like anybody who is rolling with us, like Tom, like Randy, like Chris, like everybody who is like Will Mall, like all these people that are part of the show that call in, that we see them, we talk to people, anybody that's listening. This isn't just this is all of us. This is our like merry band of people that are interested in this story and are trying to, and we're all working to get it back. Even if all you're doing is watching and telling somebody or liking it or whatever, or telling somebody, you're not like a fan of the show, dude. You are part of what we're trying to do. Okay. That's the way I look at it. So that being said, with the idea with the Iffy the Dopester fan club pin, like that's like your official, when as soon as you can get these out.
Oh yeah.
I want to start I want that. Well, at least we're getting closer. We haven't made this an official thing.
It's available as a t-shirt on wearingfunny.com.
But what I'm saying is, but that Iffy pin,
yes,
like I want that to be like, once you get one of those pins, you're like officially part of the City of Champions project. Because I think it represents a lot. You got the Iffy the Dopester, which is a fairly obscure, writer and name and concept, but it's like, it was like one of your first loves for this entire project.
I just tickled name.
Yeah. And so as I'm saying, so like as soon as we can get some of those made, like I kind of want that to be like one of our official, like, welcome packet to our happy band of, to the City of Champions project and bringing this back. So, and in fact, I messaged that to Tracy. I said, as soon as we get you, Jamie gets you a City of an Iffy the Dopester pin, you'll be an official member of our happy little band. So anyways, that's what I'm saying. Like, so we maybe we still need to talk about that a little bit more to make sure it's like an official thing. But but anyways, that's kind of how I'm looking at it anyway.
But and this next chapter is about the bowling team.
Stroh's Bowling,
sponsored by Stroh's.
Yes.
And today we're going to talk a little bit about Stroh's.
Yes.
And then next time we're going to talk about a little bit of the history of bowling and then the bowling team.
Because I was like,
let's
putting the
start
notes
with
together.
the history of Stroh's.
Yeah, so I was putting the notes together.
That's an important Detroit.
That's what I'm trying to say. Stroh's is an important component of Detroit.
Icon,
massive. Yeah. It's a Detroit icon. And it's an iconic brand, and it's it's worth talking about Stroh's a little bit before we even we can talk about the team next week. So
Stroh's goes back to Germany.
Yeah,
way back to 1775.
The recipe that's the Stroh family had.
Johann Peter Stroh. Yep. So he founded that in his family, and they lived adjacent to the little brew house he ran, and he served meals.
You're talking about in Germany.
Yep, in Germany. And it was the Bohemian style Pilsner ale that Johann, and he had 3 sons and 1 daughter. His second son, George Frederick Stroh's, inherited the brew house. George's youngest son was Johann Bernard Stroh's, and he just went by Bernard, and he came to Detroit in 1821.
I have 1848.
Oh, no, sorry. He was born in 1821.
Yeah.
He
came to Detroit in 1848.
Yep. And brought his brewing expertise with him.
So according to a little bit of the legend, it is when he arrived in Detroit in 1848, all he really has with him is his family beer recipe and $150.
Oh, nice.
So he's like your classic, like American immigrant tale. He's coming from Germany. There's like in Germany at this time is this massive, like, like a sort of like there's a ton of like political, like monumental shifts happening in Germany. So there's a lot of people kind of bailing out. So he comes to he lands in Detroit with a beer recipe and a dream.
Yep. There's a nice summary I came across by
a lot of different
Anthony
stuff
Anthony Heigl is the one I found. Anthony Heigl writes a lot about Detroit and Michigan stuff. I found his, and then the Detroit Historical Museum has a very terse, a very short summary as well. So is that loud? It's the one across the room.
Can you hear anything on the mic? Because that wind's kicking. Okay. If you can't hear anything, I'm good.
Yeah. We're good. And so that's where these are coming from. There'll be links in the notes.
There's a ton of stuff online
from the places I pulled stuff from.
Yeah. So anyways, so he moves to Detroit 1848. By 1850, he's established a brewery in Detroit with an underground storage, so it keeps the beer cool because it's underground. And he brought that original recipe is a Bohemian style Pilsner recipe.
Yeah,
that's what he brought over with him. Yep. Well, I think that's a little bit
and that's
later.
1924. This is a 1924 label.
Yeah, it's a little bit later down the road.
But anyways, there's a 1909 ad.
Well, so here's the thing. So that's a little bit. So anyway, so the next sort of level up for the Strohs was in 1865. The breweries expanded, and they weren't even Strohs by this point. From what I've seen, they weren't even called Strohs yet.
No,
they were in 1865 is when they actually got the name Lion. They called themselves Lion's Head Brewery,
and it's nice on the label. That's what I was looking
Lion's
at.
Head. They took that off the castle from their town that they lived in Germany.
The lion on the label is not dissimilar from lion on our City of Champions.
You're correct. Yes, and this. So, anyways, that lion on there comes from the castle from the German town that they lived in or nearby, and so so they called themselves the Lion's Head Brewery in 1865.
Okay.
And then, and so at this time they're selling beer door to door out of a wheelbarrow. And so, so they're kind of growing. And so like over the next like 20 years, that brewery is going to be basically continuously expanded until it's just becoming like a monstrous, huge brewery. It's like I read somewhere it's like 1 million square feet.
Wow.
And they had all these different buildings incorporated into it. So it's like buildings from the very beginning that were still part of this entire structure.
Right. It grew and grew.
Yeah. And as it would grow all the way through the 30s, 50s, 60s, whatever, they would still have all that sort of
original. That is it? No.
Mm-hmm.
No.
I didn't.
That was incorporated into something else. No,
yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm not sure.
They saved one of the buildings.
Did they?
There near Ford Field.
Must have been then. Maybe it was that.
Yeah,
I thought it was like a shoe factory or something, but I don't remember a shoe. I don't
know.
But
the part of the Stroh's factory is still remains, but it's part of something else.
Is it? Okay, that's cool. So anyways, so by 1893, there was in the Columbian Exposition in Chicago, which is kind of like a mini World's Fair type thing. They had Stroh. So a company by the name of B. Stroh Brewing Company won the blue ribbon and two other companies that are recognized, that are remembered today are Anheuser-Busch and Schlitz were both at that. There's a bunch of different beer companies, and Stroh's, the company called B. Stroh Brewing Company won the blue ribbon against those other beers.
Oh, okay.
And so that's why I keep mentioning B. Stroh Brewing Company, because they went from Lion's Head Brewery to B. Stroh Brewing Company by 1893. And so, and it wasn't, and so then by the early 1900s, early 1900s, they shortened it to, I don't have the year that they changed it, but they just finally started going by Stroh's, the Stroh's Brewing Company. And then the next sort of level up from the way I understand their story is, so there was Bernard, and then as his two sons, Bernard Jr. and Julius. And so Julius was sent out to Europe to look for, like, he was traveling through Europe, going to all these different brewing companies and brew houses and that. Mm-hmm. And he was looking for a way to sort of like, they'd already won the blue ribbon. Their stuff was obviously pretty good by that point, but he's looking for the next sort of level up to like a way to improve even upon what they're already doing. And so while he's out there, and this is what's going to define this company for the next 50 years, is that he came across, I didn't say which beer company he spotted, but when he came back from this European trip, they came back with this new concept that Stroh's was going to be fire brewed.
Right.
Fire brewed.
And
so for the next 50 years, this is the only company in America whose beer is going to be fire brewed. And that was their hook. That was their marketing strategy. Because where everybody else like brewed their beer with like using like a steam, like heating up steam to light these, the kettles and that, they're gonna be using flame direct onto the kettles. And so that supposedly it added like it just made their beer give it like this great taste. And so so along those lines, so this is where I want to stop for a second and talk about this. There's this movie, like I was watching a bunch of stuff, just looking, just surfing the internet, looking for different Stroh's information.
Yeah.
And on YouTube is this fantastic movie. Okay, that is highly, it's like homework on the side for those.
We'll put a link
people.
to it in the description.
So I'll just tell you, the movie is called, it's easy to find. It's called Fire Brood. Okay. It's like pretty straight to the point.
Right.
It's so the movie, we don't have a clip because we don't want to get a strike.
But we got the nice ad for it up there.
Oh yeah. There's but the movie is called Fire Brood.
Right.
So this movie, it's recommended viewing. And the movie is called, Fire Brewing Story. And it's the link on YouTube is a Periscope. It's the channel is Periscope Film. But I just wanted to kind of mention like just a couple of things that reactions. I told Jamie to watch it, but he didn't do it.
Yeah.
So Jamie was too busy for
24 hours.
Too busy for our audience.
24 hours in a day.
Get quality entertainment.
That's all I got.
So, anyways, I watched the movie, and I just wanted to point out when you're watching this movie is like if you like Detroit, right?
Yeah.
Which I do, and
I do.
Jamie kind of does, except for he doesn't like watching movies and stuff. I tell him to watch some. But for you, for the viewer at home who likes Detroit, hey, where'd I go? I thought you just shut me down. Anyways, did you just do it on purpose? You just hit the button and turned me dark for a second.
No.
I went invisible. I thought you were canceling me for a second. I got the hook on my own co-host show. Anyways, this movie is like nostalgia heaven. I have a huge note on my notes here. It says nostalgia heaven because the movie opens up. It's like I think it's 15 or 17 minutes. And it's a 1960. It's like, I think the movie says, what did it come out? 1958 or 1960. It says circa 1960. And it's like got the great, like, like this, like Stroh. It's like it's got like this like 60s aerial view of Detroit coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's got the and then they're like Stroh's, the Fire Brew story. It's like you're like, damn, I'm about to watch something good. And it's the greatest movie because they take you. They're like, Stroh's been around since 1848 when Bernard Stroh comes over from Germany with this recipe. It's so fantastic. And it's, it's the whole history of it. They got pictures and stuff. And then they're talking to a couple Stroh's family members. But then the cool thing is they take you on a tour of Stroh's, the factory in 1960. And man, it's just amazing. You got to watch it because they show like here, this is where this is, every day we brew 5 million batches, 5 million, what do they say? 5 million cans and bottles a day. And they just take you through the step by step. And they're like, and then they show you the fire brew kettles. And they're like, here, Stroh's, this is where we fire brew. And then there's like these flames licking up on these copper kettles.
Yeah.
And then he's like, check it out. They open the door of the thing and the beer is just like boiling like crazy. And he's like, so they're like, yes, this is how we get our distinctive flavor. And they show all these people hanging out at the bar. It's like all these people all dressed up. They got their own bar in the Stroh's factory. So there's all these people like mingling and hanging out. They're all dressed to the nines. This is the problem. I just got to lay it out there. Okay.
Yeah.
I got to lay it out.
Mm-hmm.
My entire life growing up, Stroh's has been like basically a cheap beer. That's from where I've seen. That's been that has been
a reasonably priced beer. Yes.
For me, it's always been, it hasn't been like some cheap swill. I wouldn't put it into that category.
Right.
But it's never in my mind been categorized.
Natty Ice Light or
no,
anything.
It's not that, but it's never been like some kind of like top tier quality.
They
beer.
had, didn't they have the signature Stroh's? Like, wasn't it Stroh's signature?
Yeah, but
like
here's the thing.
But it's regular Stroh's.
But here's the thing. Back in the early 1900s, all the way through the 50s and that, Stroh's was brewed to be a high quality beer.
Okay.
They spent extra money. It was a little bit, it was like from the way that they present this on this video, these people are drinking Stroh's with like a little pinky hanging out.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
in the early 19, it wasn't like some elitist type beer. But what I'm saying is that the beer of today, where it doesn't say fire brewed on here.
No.
Back then, their entire hook was fire brewed. Like they're like, and so I looked today on the internet.
Yeah, they did it hard in their advertising too.
Yeah, I looked on the internet today. I just did a general search for fire brewed beer, and there's nothing out there. I didn't even see a microbrew that advertised themselves as a fire brewed beer.
No, yeah, this article here that Higgle's article was saying, yeah, it was the only one for. It's the only
Well,
one.
they say it in the movie. They're like, Stroh's the only fire brewed beer, right?
This is extraordinarily inefficient.
Yeah.
And yet we keep doing it.
Yes, exactly. And so, so the idea, so that's what I'm trying to say, though, is that Stroh still exists as a label.
Yeah, as a label.
But it is no longer
It's not
the thing of this is the thing. And I'm not trying to say that Stroh's back then. I didn't drink it back then, so I can't make an assessment. Maybe somebody that has drank it from the early, like up until
I was
the
drinking
60,
back then, and
not up till 1960 though. Did you drink it when it was fire brewed?
No.
No, that's what I'm saying is that what I'm saying is that in the 50s, all the way up to the 50s, especially when this movie was made, they were presenting Stroh's is that like, and this is I'll say what I'm trying to get to here. There's like, they showed this whole process of the beer being made, right?
Yeah.
And these people took incredible pride.
I love when
in
she
every
takes
step of the way.
Glove off and she puts it on. Oh no, that's Laverne and Shirley.
Yes,
never mind.
But in this movie, every step of the way, these people are like doing. I mean, they're just made. These people. They're like generations of father. Like this father and son. This father is passing on everything he's learned, and his dad before him worked here.
Oh yeah.
So it was like a family thing, not just from the top where it was family ownership the whole time. But the workers in the factory were family upon family upon family.
Oh,
and
yeah.
They passed on each
Bernard
step of the
beget Julius beget George.
Yes, but they're all the way through.
Yeah.
And so you had so it wasn't just the family at the top of the chain,
Gary,
but it was family along the way for the workers. And the other thing too is because they were a Detroit local brewery that'd been around since the 1850s. They cultivated the people on the ground, their customers were also a family to them. Like that's the way that they came across. We're fire brewed. We're a little bit more expensive. We take our time. We don't have 1 billion bottles out there. We're a Detroit brew company and we make our stuff for you. That's the way Stroh's was, right? And that's the way that they present it in the movie. Again, the movie it's phenomenal. It's a short thing to watch. But one of my favorite scenes is after they're showing all like this whole process, right? And then they're like, every batch of Stroh's is sampled by our scientists. And they have a whole, it's like a research lab, dude.
Yeah.
They got all these guys walking around in white doctor's smocks, and they're all walking around with samples. So I'm
basically doing science right now.
No, you're not, because this is a different beer than was once existed.
Yeah.
Because there's all these scientists walking around. They got samples, like they're all doing. It's like a laboratory, it's like a science lab, dude. They're in the midst of some intense studies, right? And they're like, every batch is scientifically tested for quality assurance, right? And then they're like, not only that, we have our it's also taste tested to maintain impeccable performance, right? And then there's these other guys behind there, they're sitting in their own little cubicle and they're just drinking shots of beer like this, right? They're knocking back little shots of Stroh's. I'm like, this is awesome. This is awesome. These guys are going from, they got the scientist, they got the fire brewed kettle, they got the scientists, they got the taste testers. These guys do that every day. Oh, yeah. These guys are like, hey, honey, how was your work? And the guy's like, man, it was great. It was a great day. I had a great day. They had their beer samplers. You know what I mean? Like these people, they went through this process and it was like, this is what they did. This was Stroh's. And so as I'm saying, like that's what Stroh's once was, right? We can sit here and list off the facts and figures and the dates and this and that. But like I say, Stroh's was Detroit. It was a sample Detroit. It was made in Detroit. It was evolved in Detroit. It was shaped by Detroit. And the people that made it were Detroiters, and they made it for Detroiters this is what these people were drinking all the way through these early years that we're talking about. It's not the only beer, of course, but this was like the signature beer.
Yeah. And as you came across that the turn there, you always see the building. Coming across the overpass.
See, I didn't see it. I grew up in Kalamazoo, so so this is not.
This
is before me.
Right there's the overpass there, getting back onto 375 and 75, the interchange there, and the Stroh's building was there just south of that connection, then you would always just pass that. If you're watching the YouTube or Facebook video, the image is up there. It was just the iconic Stroh sign.
Yeah.
It was just there forever and ever and ever.
But that's what I'm saying is like this was it, man. This was like, you know, that's what Stroh's, that's what it was.
So
I
figured out what is still around and what it was being used for. Our friends Mike Forsyth and all his other buddies down at Detroit City Distillery, the factory part that was the ice cream factory,
okay,
is their rack house, their rick house.
Oh, really?
Is where they have barrels and barrels there. That's their whiskey warehouse. They do events.
That's
and stuff.
fantastic.
Yeah. So
how old is the building?
I'm not sure.
Well, it's got. I mean, the ice cream
because the ice cream
goes
came
back to
into
goes back to the
prohibition
because
there was like 13 years of prohibition.
That's what we're going to be talking about here. Yeah.
Stroh's was like, holy crap, we got to do something.
Yeah.
And so, all right, you're going to talk.
So they're making ice cream. They're making all this other stuff. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah. So that's it. Kind of takes us into
let's go back to 1909.
Yeah,
as long as we're talking about before we get to prohibition. And again, if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, you can see it. If not, you might want to check it out. There's a really cool ad from 1909. It says Stroh's beer containing less than 3% alcohol, a real temperance drink, because that was the big, a big deal and a big controversy politically. Was temperance and
they had prohibition
movement.
Yes.
And what sparked it was World War I, and there was a temporary prohibition in order to conserve grain.
Yes.
All right, so what do you got there?
Yeah, and it led up until
funny,
full-on
even in
prohibition
1909, but leading up to that, they were already, it's like,
they're trying to bind because they're trying to like
people have.
Yeah. So anyways, so here's the thing is, I wasn't sure when to kind of unleash this.
All right.
But I've got something to show to like play from the beginning to the end. Because
Charles is going to rant about something.
I got to rant about
He's got
something.
a conspiracy theory.
I've got a conspiracy theory.
Strap it in, baby.
This is the first time. We should have used this as the
Are you going into your conspiracy theory now?
I mean, unless we got something else.
I got the ad. I got the ad from 1989.
Well, that's after this.
Well,
my conspiracy theory is
but I'm not going to want to talk about this after your conspiracy theory.
nice picture.
Yeah, it's a Playboy ad.
Is that Stroh's?
Yeah, it's a Stroh's.
I like Stroh's
that's a straight Stroh's Playboy ad.
Golly, Stroh's knows how to advertise, man.
1989.
Jeez.
Yeah, I might buy that for the man cave.
Yeah, you should get that for in here too.
Does
it say what year that
is?
It's
a scantily 89. Yeah.
Oh, 89?
It's a scantily clad young lady in a jean shorts and
she's holding a
denim.
Stroh's. I didn't even know.
She's painting the Stroh's logo on the ground.
I didn't even see that. I didn't notice.
And she's got a denim shirt on.
Yeah, I didn't
that's
kind
of tied up like Marianne on Gilligan's Island with no brassiere underneath it.
Yeah.
And she's all covered. But yeah. So this ad is from 1935. This is their holiday ad from 1935. It's a very straightforward and people familiar with the Stroh's brand. It's that script in an upward angle and it's yellow.
I love the kind of linear elements of that.
And
those trees are awesome.
Yep. So the ad, that's their ad from 1935, and I had another piece from 35. It was a billboard. It was a billboard.
I like that early 1900s one you had with that girl holding the glass. Can you go back to that?
Yeah. It's a very Coca-Cola.
I love this one. That's awesome.
I couldn't. They didn't narrow down we can't see it, but they can see it. It says Stroh's.
Yeah, I've seen that
at the top.
I love that picture. I'm glad you put that up there.
It's a very Coca-Cola-esque. Yeah. But she's holding
super inviting. She's like, hey, but that's the same. Like that's how it was advertised. Is like a delicious beer.
Yeah.
Like this is delicious. You don't see them advertising that for this.
Oh, here's the other one. This is the billboard. This was a billboard out in front of their. This comes off of the Detroit Historical Society's website, and it's the fire brewed at 20,000 or 2,000 degrees, and that was a big thing. It was a big billboard with a big fake beer bottle on it, and again, very cool. It's cool stuff. So
yeah, and Stroh, like I say, there's a million things on Stroh's. Stroh's used to be the sponsor of the Tigers. They were sponsors of the Red Wings. They're of course sponsored
a bunch of hydroplanes.
Yeah, they their golf sponsors. Their skiing, I believe, golf. they're major sponsors of all these different sports. They're a centerpiece of Detroit culture in the early 20, through the whole early, all the way through the 80s of Detroit. They are a major component of Detroit. And it's just, I mean, I know that they say they say they moved it back here. That are they making it here now?
Brew Detroit
did like a special thing one year. Right?
Did the
no, it just still says Milwaukee.
These are the regular, all the other Strohs. Your mainstream Strohs is all coming out.
See, I look at one of the great missed opportunities.
Yeah,
one of the great missed opportunities of this generation was when Kid Rock released Badass Beer.
Yeah.
Man,
should have been Stroh's.
Imagine if Kid Rock would have bought Stroh's,
right?
Or got a conglomerate of investors together,
sure,
bought Stroh's, or even partnered with the Pabst to own Stroh's now.
Yeah.
What if he would have partnered with them and got a cut of the, like I'll pay you $100 million, 50 million or something like this to buy in, and then he became the face of Stroh's. They moved it back to Detroit. Stroh's would be kick ass.
Yep. That would have. Yep.
So I just think that is a major missed opportunity because the branding of Kid Rock rolling with Stroh's, that's all I'd be drinking.
Yep.
So it's like that'd be bringing the Detroit back to Stroh's, which is one of its hooks. Like right now, it's like, is that, just being honest with me?
It's a beer.
It's a beer.
It's a beer.
Yeah. It's not any worse or better than really anything else you had. It's just a novelty because you're like, it's Stroh's. That's been the primary hook of why anybody still buys it. Is
if we were
the name
doing
on the
this
side
episode,
of the box.
I wouldn't.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying is that it's the name still. It's the branding on the side of the box that still leads people to drink it.
The Bohemian Pilsner, if I could get that and fire brewed, I would definitely pick it up.
But that leads me back to the other thing too, is I said right here in the beginning, they said they used the original recipe. They're talking about from the 1800s,
right?
The original Bernard Stroh recipe of and I have it right here, 1850. They used a Bohemian style Pilsner, and it looks like they used that similar recipe for 50 years, or like 58 years, until Julius came back from Germany in 1908 with the fire brewed, and that fire brewed is what they rolled with till 1960. That was the Strohs of the early 1900s and all the way through the 60s. So that company and I'm not taking anything away from them, that's fantastic. They rolled out that Bohemian style Pilsner. But if you want to bring back Stroh's the way that the City of Champions rocked it, all the way through the golden age of the 50s with the Gordie Howe and Bobby Lane and all these, then the way you got to bring back Stroh's is the fire brewed.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's what you got to bring back. The Bohemian's cool and all. I mean, I didn't take anything away from that. And that's a great thing. But if somebody wants to take Stroh's back to the premium beer at its glorious of the glory days, you got to fire brew it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion on that.
But that's probably like dangerous and inefficient.
Oh, shut it! That's the point. That's the point. They were efficient with it, but what I'm saying is, it's dangerous and inefficient. But at the end of the day, your beer is fire brewed. Jamie, do you see that's one of the crux of my entire argument here. If there was, I don't think I had it already.
No.
But that's what I was trying to go to is that, man, it's got the label and it's a beer, but it's not fire brewed like the golden age of Stroh's.
I want to party with the Stroh's elves.
Show off another couple pictures. I'm going to refill my drink.
And then there's some great advertising. There's they do the bowling. They on ABC. They are the sponsors of the ABC bowling. Far back as 1956 is where this ad comes from. If you're following along on Facebook. But it's an ad for the Stroh's beer sponsoring ABC Sports. And then, again, our favorite from 1989, the Stroh's brew out of the Playboy. And 1909, going back to the temperance bottle. And the label goes all the way back to 1909. So this label goes all the way back to 1909. We have family pictures, Colleen, up on the wall in the living room. And there's you can see and they're drinking Stroh's beer. They're drinking the Bohemian the Stroh's Bohemian Pilsner. They can see the bottles.
That's what I'm saying. That's what it's just such a cultural identity for Detroit. It's almost like Detroit trying to make a comeback, right?
It's almost a comeback.
It's almost like if you're gonna have that comeback thing, like some of these cultural elements, like it's not like Stroh's is dead and gone and we're just trying to rehash something that no longer exists. Like Stroh still exists. It's just not made in Detroit anymore. And it's just a beer. It's not anything. You're buying the label, you're buying the brand, you're buying it as you're almost buying it as a tribute. I think that's the best way. It's a tribute beer. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's a tribute beer. It's not what it once was. And this label right here is like gold. Like
this
flame. That's like,
this is one of the ones from Prohibition, because this is the non-intoxicating cereal beverage. It looks just like
they have a 30s
it's very
one
similar to the Bohemian beer.
That's my favorite one there. I love that.
Right?
One. Yeah.
And that's a beer, but during Prohibition,
that is so awesome.
They made
it says the Würzburger lager.
This was the near beer.
A non-intoxicating cereal
beverage.
Right.
So this is the one. This is the one they made during Prohibition.
Dang.
Because you were getting to Prohibition and some theories behind that, but that's when they shifted to ice cream.
Yeah. And juice. They made like sodas and stuff.
Mixers.
Yeah.
They did ice cream mixers, ice, and
I read about another thing where they made, which was I had it written down here. They made a yeast. They made it was called malt extract for cooking and nutritional supplement. No, I'll say that again. They also made a malt extract for cooking and nutritional supplement. The malt extract, it's for making beer.
Yeah.
It's for making your own beer at home. That's what it was.
Yeah.
It's a malt extract. So they were like, it's for cooking and nutritional supplement.
That's it.
That's it.
It's a malt. Here's a beer. Here's a beer kit.
Beer kit.
Take it home.
I can't say beer kit. So they go, it's for nutritional supplements and cooking only.
Oral supplementation.
Yeah.
That's it.
So anyways, yeah. So anyway, so that's what I'm saying. Like right now, it's a tribute beer.
Yeah.
Whoever, I'll just put this out there right now. Whoever brings Stroh's back to Detroit and turns it into a fire brewed beer, okay, that person will be a freaking legend in my eyes and in your eyes. Yeah. In our viewers' eyes, I'm assuming too. I'm going to speak for our viewers.
Here's what
in your eyes too. And it's going to be, they're going to be an absolute freaking legend. If you bring Stroh's back to Detroit and fire brew it. Don't just bring it back. You got to take that next step and fire brew.
Here's what I want for next Champions Day.
Fire brew?
Or the one after that.
Fire brew.
Here's what I want. I want to do a party at the Historical Society down on the streets. In the city streets down there in the Detroit Historical Society with some Detroit City of Champions specially fire brewed Stroh's beer.
Oh man, that would be awesome.
Drinking it out of the Stanley Cup.
Oh dude, that'd be amazing, but the Red Wings got to win the Stanley Cup.
So no, the cup goes on tour. They bring the cup out for...
Yeah, but we got to drink it out of your own city's championship year.
Yeah,
you can't drink it out of like if the friggin' the Tampa Bay Lightning win it or something. You'd be like, I want
to do it before I'm dead. So
yeah, the Red Wings had a chance. They got Eisenrun or whatever. But what I'm saying is, I will settle for. I mean, that would be awesome. I'm not trying to take that away from you. But I would be happy if it was a fire brewed Stroh.
That's actually my plan, is to get the Stanley Cup here for a Champions Day.
Well, that'd be. I'm
where that's a. I don't know if I told you that, but that's
that'd be awesome.
That's one of my want to get. I want to get the Stanley Cup for photo ops and to have it there for the talk.
Dude, if I got me a Stroh's fire brewed or somebody like this brewery here, I forget. Did you
Brew
say
Detroit? Yeah,
Brew Detroit.
If they could
Detroit did the Bohemian style Pilsner. If they took it up to that next level and used the recipe for the fire brew,
right,
I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm frigging there, and we're bringing all of our viewers with us.
So yeah, no, that's what I want,
because I don't even know what fire brewed tastes like.
I said it.
It's got to be good, right?
It's I said we're gonna do the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, okay.
And we're gonna drink beer out of it.
I get that, but I would listen to me. You're raising the bar up even higher than I need it to be. Look, you're the thing is I'm not trying to fall you for that. That's fine. That's great. It would be amazing. I'm down for it. I'm totally down for it. But what I'm saying is my bar, I'm raising the bar up from this. This is the low bar, right? This is the low bar. The Stroh's as it is now.
Yeah.
The next bar up is
Firebird.
Well, I would say it's the Bohemian style Pilsner, which they made, which is fantastic. I'm not taking anything away from it. It's the next level up, certainly after this.
Yep.
The next level above the Bohemian style Pilsner is the fire brewed. Right. That's next level up. The next level up beyond that is fire brewed in the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
Right. That's the level up that you're talking about.
That's where I want to be.
I'm saying I am happy with one step below that.
I'll drink this stuff out of the Stanley Cup if we get a Stanley Cup down.
Well, you're skipping a bar.
I'm okay.
You're skipping a bar.
I just want to get the Stanley Cup here for Champions
I've
Day.
hung out next to the Stanley Cup. It's all right.
I want to get here for Champions Day.
That's cool.
I think that'd be very, very fun.
that would be amazing.
So I think
but
that'd be very fun.
I want this fire brewed. I'm
Okay.
going to leave it at that. But
All right.
that's my bench. That's my bar.
Oh, we'll talk.
I've hung out with the Stanley
I'm going
Cup
to talk to
before.
the Brew Detroit guys and see what we're going to do.
Man, I'll help them fire brew it. I'll
Yeah.
throw some fire on the flame, dude.
No, I've talked to the guys. They because the Smalls Bar, they do a brew for Smalls Bar, and I talked to the guys there.
Well,
all the
what
time.
if they
So,
check this out? What if instead
I will talk.
what if they make their fire brewed and instead of having to buy Stroh's, the label, they just call it like Stroh,
Stroh.
STRO, and maybe they do STRO, skip the H and put an S in, so it's Stroh's with no H, but it's fire brewed.
Yeah.
How about this for a question, and we can open this up for comments to call in. If the beer is called STROS, it's missing the H, okay, but it's fire brewed, right? Is that I don't know? Is that a word? Is that
Copyright infringement? Can you get away with it?
No, not that. I guess I'm going to see it as like a worthy successor to this.
Okay.
Is that like, it's not really though. I can't put that in front of people. But that's what I'm saying is I want to try some of that fire. I don't even know what it tastes like, and you can't find anybody on the internet doing it. At least in my little 5-7 minute search, I found nobody.
Sure.
So
Chris says I'm just looking for reasons to drink more beer.
Yeah, but
You are correct, sir. You are correct, sir.
He is correct. My reason for drinking whiskey is to do this show. So that's my excuse.
Well, minutes here before the hour winds down.
A couple minutes. I need like 5-10 minutes for this. This is an epic rant.
Better rant, roll.
Well, so this is the first time that this is an original thought. Okay. This is you could file this under conspiracy theory.
Sure.
Okay.
I
And this is a big one.
Get a foil hat on for this?
You don't need that. What are you
Okay.
talking? This is an alien stuff.
All right.
This is straight.
Checking.
This is a factual based presentation of a situation that dawned on me tonight while I was putting some of these dates together for Stroh's during the Prohibition. Really, this is what it's focused on, is Prohibition. And so again, this is the first time that this conspiracy theory is being raised. So here's the thing: if you hear this after this show, right, go do a Google search right now.
Started here.
It started right here because I think this is a legitimate question to ask, especially based on the dates. Okay. And the reason why it's actually has like some pretty good meaning for me is that I'm really interested in this topic, which kind of veers off of the specifically Stroh's path
and the
and onto
Prohibition,
and on it goes on to talk about when Franklin Delano Roosevelt took the gold from Americans in 1933. Let me just rattle through the facts here and we can discuss. So here's the dates, okay? January 17th, 1920. This is officially when the 18th Amendment kicked in, which was, as we know it, Prohibition. Beer and liquor are illegal. Transportation of beer and liquor between state lines is illegal, and all this. All right. So between that date, January 17th, 1920, and March 22nd, 1933, okay, over that course of time, which is 13 years. So on March 22nd, 1933, Franklin Delano Roosevelt signs the Cullen-Harrison Act, legalizing beer of 3.2% or less. So you can drink 3.2% beer or less on March 22nd, 1933. That's when that law passes. Okay. That's when this act of Congress passes. So now this is where this kicks in. Okay.
Yeah.
So keep in mind the date, March 22nd, 1933, beer is legalized. April 5th, 1933, 2 weeks later, FDR signs Executive Order number 6102, forbidding the hoarding of gold coin, gold bullion, and gold certificates within the continental U.S. All persons must deliver on or before May 1st, 1933, all gold coin, gold bullion, gold certificates. They confiscated the gold. 2 weeks after they legalized the drinking of beer.
Well, you got to hope everybody's drunk to
Yeah, you think?
buy into it.
Yeah. So people, let me just think about this for a second. The country has gone through this prohibition world for the last 13 years. The country is 4 years into the Great Depression. Everybody's wiped out. Everybody's beat up. And then they pass a law legalizing the ability to drink beer. So this is a big deal.
Yeah.
You can go drink beer legally. Anybody in the country can now go drink beer, right? That's a big deal. So now you're like, oh my God, we can drink beer legally. This is exciting. What are we gonna do? Let's go get ready to party. We're gonna go drink party. Stroh's is rolling into action. They're coming off of their making ice cream days and making malt or whatever. Now they're making beer. And at the same time, they're like, we're also gonna take the gold. Bring your gold in. We're taking it. It's illegal. It's a $10,000 fine or 10 years in prison.
Whoa.
If you're caught holding more than 5 ounces of gold.
Wow.
How you see what I'm saying? Like they're legalizing beer at the exact same moment as they're telling everybody they're taking their gold.
And so your theory is?
So the theory is it's a sleight of hand.
Oh,
they're giving people, they're like, look how great we are. We're giving you
your
beer back.
Yep.
And on the next hand, they're like, now turn in all your gold. You're not allowed to personally own gold anymore. Right.
Well, what do you need it for? You got Bitcoin.
Not back in 1933. You didn't. So here's the thing. So that's not where this ends. December 5th, 1933. So just a short time later, a few months later, December 5th, 1933. The 21st Amendment repeals the 18th. So now all liquor is legal, right? And so on New Year's Day of 1934, everybody's having their first New Year's Day of drinking whatever the heck they want to drink, right? Everybody's having a blast, right? Just a month after that, so January 30th, 1934,
right?
The Gold Reserve
still liquored up.
The Gold Reserve Act is passed.
What?
The Gold Reserve Act bans the exportation of gold. It halts the convertibility of gold into paper money.
What?
It revalues gold from 35 an ounce to 35 an ounce from $20 an ounce. So now the government is paying more in gold for all the gold. Now the Federal Reserve had to turn in all gold to the U.S. Treasury, to the U.S. Bullion Depository in Fort Knox. In essence, the Federal Reserve is turning in their gold, and now that when they issue money, it doesn't have to be backed by gold anymore. This is the abandonment of the gold standard in two steps.
What could go wrong?
The gold standard was abandoned. To make a long story short, the gold standard, which had been the standard of U.S. currency since 1795,
right,
okay, was abandoned at the exact same moment that they let people drink. This is a monumental change here. For 13 years, people weren't allowed to have a beer or a drink without getting thrown in jail. Now you can have a drink, but you can't have any gold, and all your U.S. currency is now backed on nothing, right? So, I don't what is this? What does it mean? Well, conspiracy theory. It's a sleight of hand.
Yeah.
It's a massive change. Everybody's talking. Think about the conversation. Now you can legally drink anywhere in the world. Some of these people, this is their first legal drink they've ever had.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. Maybe they've been sneaking around, going to, speakeasies and all this.
Purposes.
Yeah. Or doing speakeasies or whatever, but it's highly illegal. And now suddenly everybody's allowed to drink.
Yeah.
And so who's talking about the gold being taken or the gold coming off the standard, and the fact that from this point on, the Federal Reserve is just going to be printing paper money. When they say the Federal Reserve had to turn in their gold, what that's doing is they're saying, because the gold was at the Federal Reserve, because the Federal Reserve I think it was 40% of all US dollars had to be backed by gold.
Yeah.
Right. And so when they force the Federal Reserve to turn their gold into the Fort Knox, they know what it means. Now they're still issuing money, but now they don't have to have any backing.
Right.
So the gold standard is abandoned at the exact same moment as liquor is being legalized. So what I'm saying, it's a sleight of hand is what I'm saying.
They struck genius right then.
Yeah, it's a distraction to say, hey, we're taking the gold, but you can drink some beers to not worry about it, and some liquor and get all wasted in that. So as far as a conspiracy theory, the question is, was prohibition repealed? I know it was like sort of becoming unpopular at this point,
Right.
but or did they say, hey, we're about to repeal prohibition. Now's a good time to make this change we've been wanting to make for a while, which is to take the dollar off the gold standard. Now's a good time to do it. My point is that these two components have never been connected before, right? Has anybody ever put these two together? I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, it seems like a pretty big coincidence that these things are so close together, because this is it's a major deal.
I'm calling shenanigans. Thank you,
Jamie.
Shenanigans.
So here's the thing too. Here's just a quick thing is that
shenanigans.
So here's the thing is that just to talk, as far as like people going, oh, what does that mean to me? Here's an example. So prior to 1933, the issue with the US dollar had long been deflation. Because if there wasn't enough gold coming on the market in a single year, then the value of the dollar the spending power of the dollar would increase, because because it's only $20 an ounce for gold.
Yeah.
And so people would be wanting dollars to get more gold, right? Because gold was like, it was an imbalance. So like it was deflating because there would be less gold coming on the market than dollars. So you'd be able to buy more gold as a result. And so deflation of the currency was the problem. Ever since, it's been inflation, of course, which has been the problem. And the stat right here I have is prior to this, in an example, I don't have like a year over year like average, but in 1921, deflation was 10.5%. The spending power of the dollar increased 10.5%. Following these measures through 2013, inflation would average 3.67% every year. So the value of the dollar would go down on average 3.67% every year. So prior to this deflation, the problem was the dollar was becoming more valuable every year, ever since the dollar is becoming less, since they took us off the gold standard. And, but at least we get to drink.
There we go. That's, they had my number on that.
Yeah. Nice trade. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. That's a great trade-off. Your dollar's worth trash now. Your dollar's not worth crap.
Yeah.
But at least you can drink your problems away about it.
That's it. Well, thank you, Stroh's Beer, for a fun romp. And we're going to talk about how Stroh's Beer sponsored bowling. And
next week we will.
How bowling came to be.
Yeah, we'll take maybe get into a little bit of the postscript of Stroh's too, because there's like a sort of a downward fall for Stroh's. Yeah. So, anyways,
we'll get into that next time. Lots more to come.
Do we have a special word like on Pee Wee Herman Show where they say like a special word and everybody goes, oh, yeah. Do we have that word?
No. Fire brood.
Fire brood. Fire brood.
All right. So thanks for joining us. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, do all the podcast things in all the podcast places. We appreciate you being with us. Wearingfunny.com, cityofchampions.com,
DetroitCityofChampions.com.
That's the place to go. And we'll do it again. We're going bowling next week. We should do it from a bowling alley next week.
And by the way, the Stroh's bowling alley is awesome. Or I'm sorry, the Stroh's bowling team. This is like the greatest group of bowlers you're ever going to hear about. Right. Okay. When we get to talk about Joe Norris is like the literally greatest bowler you've ever, like his statistics are so ridiculous.
All right.
That he's basically like Babe Ruth of bowling. So
right on. All right. That's all coming up.
Talk about next week.
Very soon. Next time on Detroit City of Champions.